Welcome back to What Gets Measured, a NinjaCat podcast about marketing, performance management, metrics, and effectiveness, because what gets measured gets managed. I'm your host, Jake Sanders. Most marketing teams think they have a messaging problem. They keep tweaking the copy, adjusting the headline, testing variations, but the results stay flat. What if the problem runs deeper than the message? The words a business puts into the world either land on the right person in the right moment in language that feels written for them, or they don't. And the precision research into improving not just messaging, but communication takes more upstream work than most briefs ever allow for. Our guest today, copywriter, entrepreneur, and creator of the video sales letter, Jon Benson, built a format that became the engine of modern direct response marketing. He started building AI copywriting tools in 2010, long before the technology had a mainstream name, and he's trained his AI platform, Benson, on all his experience, lessons, and patterns he's noticed behind high-converting campaigns since then. He's one of the few people who can speak to both the craft of persuasion and the architecture of AI with equal authority. In this episode, Jon walks through the communication principles most agencies are skipping, where buyer pain actually lives, what AI copy requires before a single prompt is written, and why the teams winning in a saturated market are the ones willing to be specific, honest, and human. If you've ever wondered why your AI-assisted copy feels polished but performs flat, this conversation will tell you exactly why, so let's get to it. Jon Benson, welcome to What Gets Measured. How are you, sir?
Good, Jake. How are you, man?
Oh, man. Excellent. Now that you're here, helping us lift this weight together, trying to find marketing performance, is it persuasion? If you get a chance, check out Jon's stuff. Really excellent advice on copywriting, making it tougher, but working now with AI. It's such an amazing career path. I just wanted to kind of let you set the scene. You start in copywriting, then you become an entrepreneur, and then along the way, you're stacking weights, and then you create the sales letter. Just give us sort of the Reader's Digest version.
Yeah, I started with the weights first. I actually wrote my first book in fitness, so I was just a guy that wrote a book about fitness and weight loss, and I hired is a bad word. I partnered up with a guy named Tom Venuto who wrote all the sales copy. I knew nothing about writing copy. I was just a writer.
Yeah.
And so, it was just like I had it on a bucket list to write a book, and I came up with an idea for a book. And next thing you know, we're like number one on ClickBank at the time in 2004. And then I thought, okay, I'm gonna quit my job and just do this full time. And then I wrote a second book, and I had to do the marketing myself. And I thought, well, how hard is it to write the sales copy? And turns to find out that was way harder than writing the book. And so that got me into copywriting and everything I didn't know about this. But my background's my minor was psychology, and I studied NLP in college because my roommate was a freak of like a Richard Bandler freak. So I had all the materials and just had a lot of access to this stuff. And
nice.
So I got fascinated by persuasion, and so it just kind of fit. And so next thing you know, I created the VSL. That was accidental, but that was the thing that allowed me to write copy. I couldn't write copy until I did a VSL. And then next thing you know, I kind of, because I had to chunk it out. And that's a big thing I believe in, is taking things in chunks. And so VSLs are like chunks, little chunks of sales pages. So that's what worked.
I love it. And so it's interesting to think that your copywriting fit the destination. It was sales on the page. When you were working on tightening up your muscles for that, what were some of the resources that you were using? What were some of the, inspirations?
I'll be honest with you. I made a mistake as a professional musician, and I vowed I would not make the same mistake doing something different. And that was, as a musician, I started when I was a kid. I decided I was not good enough, so I had to go to school. So I went and got my first degree. Then I was not good enough, so I went to a second degree. Then I was not good enough, so I went to MIT, which is a music school in California. And I kept doing this, and I studied with the greatest bass players that were alive. And they were all telling me the same thing. They said, "You play fine. You need to get your ass out and play. Get into bars, get into clubs, play." I'm like, no, just not quite good enough. I have to get just a little better. I have to learn this, and and I made that mistake, and I ended up being relatively successful as a player, like playing and doing some pretty cool stuff, but
Great.
nowhere near as good as I could have been because I simply did not actually do the playing. I did more of the preparing to play. So I decided to do the exact opposite. I said, I'm not going to read a single book. I'm not going to do anything. I'm just going to study the letter that Tom Venuto wrote for me and say, I'm just going to write my own stuff. And it could suck. And it did suck. It was terrible for like 6 months. And then the VSL popped in my head from a lot of different inspirations along the way. There were guys doing like PowerPoint style sales letters, which I thought were pretty terrible. And then, but no one was doing just the words, plain words like I was doing, and then the NLP and red and all that stuff. That's what I started. And that ugly style VSL became the VSL. And that was, yeah, that was it. That was just a swing and a hit versus the swing and the miss. And so it was pretty much my own style. But I think a lot of John Carlton filtered through there because Tom studied with John Carlton.
Right.
So that's a pretty good guy to have. And John and I are friends now. So.
Well, and I like that because this next question, I'm a professional musician. You played a bunch, and yeah. The practice room is where you sort of tighten your stuff, playing those scales to proficiency in those things. But then when you get out on stage, I mean, it's a full Mike Tyson fest. Yeah, like you have a plan until you get punched in the face.
Exactly.
And you got to play at time. And you're like, okay, hold on.
Time, man.
Time. Time
it's different. It's different with a drummer than it is.
You're
with
like, okay. Yeah, well, we're at the new chord. Oh, really? But I love bass players. You always got a gig. So I'm jealous of that. But two, I wanted to talk about, let's get into this, because I want to talk about performance, marketing performance. Yeah. Everybody wants their marketing to be tough. But I landed on something when I was getting ready for this. Persuasion over time versus performance right now. And so I'm glad you brought up this musician. If you can't see, he's got basses behind him. I perform on stage, and if the audience is persuaded, they clap. Marketing can feel rough, like there aren't a lot of applause. And it's really mercurial. It can take months for some applause to reach your ears if you're doing marketing, I kind of wondered, you can play a killing solo and the audience is telling you that if you're persuadable, like if the audience is there and they're ready and they're feeling it, you're great. But if the audience doesn't feel, you can still play technically proficient and it fails. So I wanted to sort of get your thoughts on how much the audience plays into persuasion. Is it 100% me? Like, oh man, I got to get better. Or that crowd sucks.
Well, honestly, if you could be the greatest writer in the world and you're writing the wrong crowd, then it's not the crowd that sucks. It's the choice of who you're marketing to. But
don't they suck though, John? Don't the audience just suck?
Sometimes they do.
You're right. I wonder if that is a get out of jail or get out of trying.
Well, it's like, okay, because when I say I didn't play, I'm exaggerating. You
played.
I played a lot.
You couldn't get all those degrees without playing.
Yeah, I played a lot, but I did not play nearly as much as
I get the gigs.
My main teacher was a guy named Jeff Berlin, who, if you like jazz at all, fusion, Jeff was one of the greatest bass players, still is, and he was like all the time to me saying, dude, you play fine. You just need to go out and live in your car. And it was the live in your car. And he drove a Pinto, and he literally would live in his car a lot of times.
Real rough.
So I'm like, man, I was like,
yes.
I didn't have that much hunger for it. I didn't want to add that much. I wanted it, but I didn't want it that much.
I got to tell you, I went to New York, and I wanted to learn from one of the greats, and I got lessons with this dude, Dave Binney. No disrespect to dude, because he's great. But I went to his apartment, and it was awful. Yeah. I was like, you live in a closet?
Yep.
Every dishes, trash everywhere. I was like, he spends all his time in Europe playing music. He's successful. Ooh. He's doing CDs. But I looked around and I was like, I don't know if I want to live in a closet.
Dude.
Like,
Yeah.
But you got to have hunger for it. But
Yeah.
here's the thing. You could be hungry for conversions and your marketing copy is still failing.
Right.
So bring it back to the audience. Like you
Yeah.
got the wrong crowd maybe. How do you know that? How do you measure your persuasion and performance with marketing copy? I mean, there's the video sales letter. They say nothing. It didn't go anywhere. Someone says no, that's great. But
Yeah.
how do marketers sort of consider this? Because sales is direct, marketing's sort of indirect.
Yeah, it's numbers. I mean, it's really just it comes down to, if you're looking at sheer effectiveness of what you're doing as a copywriter, it's conversions. It's nothing more than that. I mean, so conversions, and when I say factoring in, you're going to the right avatar, you're going to the right, the right marketing audience and all that stuff. But that being said, and this is something that I've noticed and worked into Benson, the AI that we have over the years, that when you are in alignment, and I'm the least woo person you'll probably meet, but when you are in alignment with your core values and you're writing from that perspective, whether it's AI or by hand, it does not matter. And that audience, that's your message to your audience. In other words, you're not just trying to sell something, you're actually in alignment with it. You're speaking the language of your avatars, you're speaking the language of your values. That seeps into the words. It does. And all of a sudden people start feeling like what this guy's writing, it feels like he's writing to me. And that's the effect that your copy can go from an A to a B and it'll actually be more effective. I mean, I'm not saying to go downward. I'm saying you don't have to have A-list level copy, which is if you're writing in that really what we call buyer alignment strata, right? Where you're aligned with the buyer, not just from you're speaking their language, but you are actually speaking your own too. So this is where it gets a little tough. So as marketers, I suggest marketers don't follow me as much as business owners do. And I'll tell you why. Marketers will sell anything if it makes money, and I'm not knocking them. I'm not a.
That's not true. That's not true, bro. We have principles, man.
Some do, but what I mean by that is I don't mean that in an unethical way. What I mean is I get friends of mine who are freaking awesome marketers, and they're like, "Oh yeah, it's ball bearings." It's not unethical to sell ball bearings. I'm like, I can't get excited, and so I'm doing a drop shipping of T-shirts. I could care freaking less about T-shirts, right? But a business owner, if I own the T-shirt company, different story.
You're very interested in that, yeah.
Different story. So that's my point, man. It's like it's got to be in alignment with who you are, and so I am much more interested in talking to business owners, and even more so than copywriters, because while I love copywriters, obviously I taught a lot of them. I do a lot of it, a lot of that kind of thing. If somebody wants to come to me and say, like, I want to learn like the techniques that you're using, great, but they're out getting 6 different gigs and they have to learn 6 different things. And I get that skill. I totally get it. I had to do it myself. I'm more interested in talking to the business owners, especially in the AI world today, that are about, if they haven't been displaced now, they will be in 6 weeks. I mean, it's like it is moving at an insane pace. And
that's right.
How do you keep up with it? And how do you stay ahead of that curve? How do you speak to the people that are looking desperately for connection? And we're right back down to what I'm talking about earlier. It's like, so you have connection and literal connection, which we have as far as what we do one-on-one. We do coaching live, but I'm talking about like connection with verbal connection. So when you read something, it feels like I'm reading something human. Like you as a musician, you're probably just like me. I can listen to any AI music and instantly spot it.
Oh man. It's even some of that hiss that comes in. I mean, it's like, well, I don't really need to think, but it's getting better. And
I'm talking about just the music, theory, not the sound. The music. I can hear the music. Somebody can let me listen to a band. I go, that's fake. And now the caveat to that is I can't do it if it's a Bach fugue or something. If it's something classical to where it's like, because it's much better at that because it's so structured. But if it's trying to do a pop song or it's this,
you can tell there's no breath in it. Yeah. But so, I mean, that leads to this. I love this idea of speak your own language and theirs. Yeah. I think a lot of people are like, well, I told the pain points. I went into the pain points. Oh boy, these pain points. And I wonder if there is a bit of, well, man, I mean, clicks are going down. Open rates, it's sort of tougher than ever. How do you what's your advice for people when they're talking about pain points? Like, I told them I save time. I told them we can 10x their whatever. How do you get people more aligned on that? Because don't they need those numbers? Don't they need those, or no?
Okay, so we've trained Benson to think in terms of, and I use these terms, so just bear in mind for these are like
it's coming from somewhere,
kind of internal SOP kind of stuff. But what is the mirror language, and what is the 11 p.m. language? So
tell me more.
The mirror language is what you say to yourself when you wake up in the morning and look in the mirror for the first time. Whatever you say that you don't like, that's your actual pain points. Okay, so I'm saying that in relative, that I'm using this as a thought experiment. I'm not being literal. So obviously, we're not talking about like, oh, I hate my hair. I don't like whatever.
I was just about to say something about my midriff or something.
Yeah. Well, now if you're selling skincare, it might be really different. True.
This high vibrational oil. Also, I will sell that. Okay, ball bearings. I'm going to sell them.
Right. And so what do you think when you roll out of bed in the morning? It's like whatever you're thinking that way is in reference to whatever you're selling. That's their actual pain point. To discover that takes a little bit more work, and fortunately, AI really helps with that. So that's what we call the mirror language. The 11 p.m. language is what you're thinking as you fret, as you're winding down the night, as you can't sleep. What keeps you up at night? So these two things, if you get what keeps me up at night and what do I hate the first thing I wake up in the morning, what am I the most stressed out about? If you can solve those two problems related to what you're selling. Now, this is the key thing, because if you take away the related to what you're selling, it could be like, I'm afraid my kid isn't doing well in school, and has nothing to do with, fitness or something, or whatever you're selling. So I'm talking about weight loss makes this very easy, by the way. So super easy, because you're living 24/7 in this body. And so you can definitely relate to it. So when I would write, I wrote so many winners in that space because I was obese. I went from obese to a fitness model. That's a massive gap, right? And so how did I go from that to doing fitness modeling and bodybuilding competitions and all this stuff? Well, that's quite a journey. But it wasn't just obesity. I almost died of a heart attack at 38. So I tell that story, and it's like people's jaws can drop, because they don't realize that 38-year-old guys can have massive heart attacks and be care flighted out of their home, but that's what happened. Wow. And so you're talking about really messed up genetics. So I mean, and going through obesity, that's like, all the food addictions, the 50-inch waist, the 210 over 100 blood pressure. We're talking stroke freaking level blood pressure at 27. It's like crazy stuff to think back to how bad this was. And so I can tell a story that's a little bit, I can't relate to a guy that's 400 pounds, because I've never been 400 pounds, but I've been 280 pounds. And so, so I understand the pain of it equally well, because it's like you're still like absolutely miserable in your body, right?
Experience and empathy seems like a massive gift. And I would say now somebody hears that story, and that's amazing. And we're so glad that it's ended up this way. But I don't have a sad story like that. Shit. Like, what am I going to do? How am I going to sell with somebody, but I don't have a sad story about ball bearings?
Okay. It's funny. I used to do this when I would speak on stage all the time. I would say, I challenge anyone, because story was the thing. Everyone was asking me about story.
I need a story, right?
I would tell these stories, right? These really compelling stories. And I'd say, every single one of you have a story, every single one of you. And I would take a challenge. I'd say, anyone in the audience wants to come up here right now, I will give you your story. Anyone. I've never failed that test. I do it right now with you.
No. I know my story, girl. But because I would imagine there's a little bit of why, there's a little bit of why, there's a little bit of why, and there's a little bit of why. Why do you do that? Why do you do that?
There's a lot of
Am I right?
Oh, yeah. Yeah.
Because guess what?
The three
guess
whys,
what breaks people down? I saw that, the 3 why thing. It's just like, no, for real, why? But I think, get us back to marketing comms. I peeled the onion too far. I went down to their 4th why. And I think that's why you're like, no.
Because mommy didn't love me kind of thing.
Don't plumb, that grandma. You're like, no. How do you get people to reel it back in? Because
Yeah.
I bet there are a lot of people that would love to dive into psychology, philosophy. How do you get them back on earth?
Yeah.
That mirror language, that 11 p.m. language, is that sort of the cue?
It's the thing that I would say back to them that if I reversed it, they would freak out. So meaning, Tony Robbins gives a beautiful example of this. He gave it. I've heard him say this. I heard him. I think I shared it with Stephen Bartlett on Diary of a CEO.
Right.
But Tony's been one of my big time hero, mentor, role models forever. Lucky enough to have met him a few times. And the company reached out to me and wanted to work with me on video sales letters. And his partner, Dean Graziosi, was one of my business associates. So we have a lot of interesting connections there. But he knows what I think of him. But he said this and it was so perfect. He said, I was doing this thing where I'm getting this woman who's a vegan to try to change her she had a destructive behavior. He wouldn't say what it was, and it's okay, it doesn't matter. But the destructive behavior, she's like, no, I just can't. And he would walk her down these horrible things. He goes, well, if you don't change this, what do you think is going to happen? When do you think that how long would a person live that kept doing what you're doing? And she, maybe 35. And he goes, how old are you? 33. He goes, and she goes, no, I still can't change. I still just can't do it. I just can't do it. I just can't do it. And this kept on. Even he said, let me ask you this. Your daughter, when she's carrying your coffin,
Jeez.
Your daughter's carrying your coffin. What do you want her to be thinking? And she gets quieter and she says something and she goes, I still can't do it. So this much leverage couldn't do it. And then he said, what if her new mom is a meat eater? And at that moment it clicked. Because she's such a militant vegan. She was like, oh, no way, hell with that. I'll never put up with that. And so whatever it is that you say back to the person that makes them go, oh, it's going to click them back. That's when you know you've gone right to the point. If I say like something I was joking about, like, oh, my mother didn't love me, probably isn't going to cause that. My mom did. So but it probably isn't going to cause that reaction at all. Right. But if I back up and when I look at look at food and look at eating, it's like, what would motivate me? If my motivation, it might be too far to say, oh, I want to leave a legacy for my future children and I don't have children. Right. It's too far, right? It's too far. But if I move that back just a little bit and go, oh, how are you going to feel when X happens? And it creates that visceral reaction. That's when you know you've reached the leverage point.
And well, it's just getting me to think that this is such a powerful marketing lesson in measurement, in how you prepare the messages, how you report on them. It's just like that's a really, really great way to think about it. Now, AI generated marketing, we're using a lot of this stuff. Yeah. You mentioned that use this stuff. Most people are not, but some people are. What's a mistake that you see people making when they're using Gen AI in marketing?
Boy, it's probably a lot easier to say, what are they doing right? I mean,
there you go. Say that then. Yeah. What are the people who are getting it right doing? I mean, and I'll tell what we know what it is, but tell us like the negative side of that. I'm
biased. Okay. So I'll just proclaim my biasy right here. Because
on the podcast, do it.
Okay. Now bear this in mind. I mean, most people have no idea that this goes back this far. I started in software and what would become nascent AI in 2010. Mm-hmm. So
I believe it.
That's prehistoric. That's not even prehistoric. That's like microbiotic lifetime scale in AI, right? So we're at the multicellular organisms
millions of years ago. Yeah, Carl Sagan.
I haven't even got to the fishy crawlies yet. So a long time ago, before the fishies crawled, and before anything happened, this is like forever. And so I had to figure out like how, back to VSLs. How do you teach someone how to write a VSL? It's teaching someone to write. It's not like, I don't know what you play. What do you play?
Saxophone and piano.
Okay, saxophone. Because I play piano too, so we can relate here. So teaching someone to play piano. Okay, piano's flat. It's easier to play in many ways than a guitar because it's easier to visualize flat than it is to visualize this way. And it's human. And so you see guys that actually learn guitar flat. It's kind of interesting, but
Yeah.
but so when you're thinking this versus this, we have to, as you probably know, to get a degree in music, you have to play piano because at least you did when I did, and so I get two of them.
Same.
Degree in jazz performance, had to play piano, so I learned to play piano, and then finally got to play okay, not great, but okay. But so you're seeing chord mappings and voicings, and you're seeing how this thing maps out, right? So if I teach someone how to do something, I can just show them, look at my fingers, look at everything, look here, here's exactly how you play, here's how you play a G7 chord, okay, what it may be, right?
Yeah.
And so, and then you get somebody to do the same exact thing and they can replicate it, right? Right. So that type of learning is so much easier than saying to somebody, okay, what I want you to do is picture, how would you communicate the fact that you have such a great idea for X that doesn't involve Y? And so I had to break down like this idea of like, okay, but then they have to think of what it even is. And so
How would you know? How would you know?
Yeah. So I would break down. So I go, okay, what's your number one goal? I call it the primary goal. What do you think your client's primary goal is when it comes to training their dog? And so they would say things like, oh, so he doesn't bark at strangers. Okay, so let's say that's the number one thing, right? So I'm going to give them a sentence. I want to help you, primary goal, without objection. And I want you to fill that in. And that sentence will work for every business on earth. So that was literally the very first sentence I wrote down on a piece of paper in 2008, when I said, I'm going to figure out how to turn software into a VSL script. And so I said, well, how do I do this? And so I wrote down like 5 different sentences that dealt with benefits and bonuses. I don't know, for why is one thing. And this, I want to help you, primary goal, without objections. So, and then I thought, okay, I want to help you lose weight without counting calories. And this all started fitting. And then I said, okay, I'm going to go through and circle every sales letter I get my hand on and look at how many times it says this kind of sentence. And sometimes it would say it really long, like, I want to help you get your dog to where he sets on command and he never barks at strangers. And he always comes right when you call him. And none of this will involve using a leash or harsh tactics. So it's the same exact sentence structure. You can hear it. You can hear that sentence structure.
You can hear it.
Primary goal without X, Y, Z. So I started thinking, well, can I turn this into a software? And we did. So that software was 3X VSL, which became now VSL. And that was what people did to over $1 billion in VSL sales with. So we mapped out this incredibly long, laborious thing that people would have to fill all those things out. And I didn't know it, but we were kind of learning we were giving LLMs what they needed to know to understand some language patterns. So we started playing around with nascent AI in 2020-ish, around that area, trying to feed these language models these patterns. And then I figured out that you feed them like an example of something and say, spit me something back like this, and it would just kind of do the same thing. Then I started sending it these patterns. Like, what if we use these patterns we used in 2010? Like, I sent him this long pattern of things and said, it just has to fill
with those
these blanks. Yeah, these blanks. And before GPT-4 came out, it would fill it in like 70% accurate. Then I would say, okay, what if I send them that first and then send them this and send them this? And so we were doing pre-prompting and single shot stuff before this was a thing, right? And that eventually became how Benson got started. It's like we were like, hey, we can feed it this way. And I got put in, one of the guys that was called to put a VSL inside of Jasper, back when Jasper was Jasper, or before Jasper was Jasper, back when it was Jarvis. And I said, yeah, you can do it. And they got 60 seconds worth. That's all they could manage. But in that process, I figured out, like, I think we can do the entire 60 minutes. I think we can do this. We just have to, and so we figured out how to do it. And so that's how this whole thing got started. So I've been doing this a long time. And because of that, most people approach this without nearly enough training. Nearly enough training in the models. I mean, so like they'll say I've seen someone do this. They'll go to ChatGPT and go, "Hey, Chat, I need to write a VSL for my new dog training product. Why don't you go ahead and write that for me?" It's like,
Nothing else, huh?
Good luck with that.
Oh, I've bold. I wish there was an audience around people. Like, it's sad that a lot of these prompts are happening alone. Because if there was an audience, it'd be like, boo! What are you talking about?
Yeah, if they had that.
No extra data. So there it is. No training, but also the context. What you sort of are hinting on. Mm-hmm. My next question is, can you measure persuasion? You just said conversion, return on ad spend, clicks. Is it just conversion, or is there a better way to measure persuasion? Like, do you have a dashboard? Or are you like, man, it's persuasive, we're selling?
Yeah.
Could you be persuadable and not sell? Or how? I mean, that's a dumb question, but do you know what I mean?
Not really. No, not over time. You could do it like once, but no, not over time. If somebody's
something's up.
Yeah. And by the way, when I think of persuasion, I draw a distinction between coercion and being compelled. So I'm not trying to be coercive. I'm not trying to say, but
we're beyond that. Don't worry about it, man. We're cool with that.
But no, that's, I think, important for people here.
Well, wait. Is coercion? Well, is this sort of like you persuaded the wrong types of people in your funnel?
Sure. Yeah.
So that isn't necessarily like I twisted your arm, but maybe you were like persuading hard to the wrong people. Have you seen that happen?
All the time. And this is where we get to this thing that we call your ideal buyer. So what we help Benson does is it says, let's first of all discover, the very first thing we do is we're going to learn all about your business and your ideal buyer. I bet you don't know who your ideal buyer even might be. So
it's the Monopoly guy.
There you go. Yeah. And the ideal buyer, once we figured out who the ideal buyer is, and we start with just one, there could be like 5, but we start with one, because that one message is so ridiculously different. Like a perfect example, let's say I have a whey protein supplement. I have an ideal buyer of bodybuilders, and I have an ideal buyer of busy moms. Do you think they may respond differently to their primary goals and objections? And
the packaging is probably going to be really different.
Everyone wants to get freaking ripped and jacked without having, it's just not probably, it's not going to work, right?
It makes me think of dude wipes, which I'm like right on, because they just said, here's what it is. We're for you. Like, it's like, there's no question whose this is for.
It's so right on, man. It's so right on. I mean, so your ideal buyer is okay. We take it one step beyond this, and this is the thing I really love to talk about. So AI sounds like AI until it doesn't. So we've worked our asses off to get Benson to sound really human. So in order to do that, you don't see the 6 or 7 rewrites that we do in behind the scenes before we show you the final. And you don't know that when you say, I want a VSL, that this part of your VSL went to this LLM, and this other part went to this one, and this other part went to this one, and this other part got edited by this one, but was written by this one. Can you imagine someone doing this in reality? I mean, like, okay, I'm going to do this in Claude. I want you to go over to ChatGPT and Gemini, and be sure to set your temperature settings over here, because good luck with that. So that's why I kind of laugh when I see people going, I wrote a VSL with Claude. Oh yeah, good luck. Okay.
Oh, did you? And I replaced my marketing team with Claude. Oh, did you?
Yeah, it's nice. It's sweet.
Nice.
And so that's but the capabilities, and so many people, it can't write copy. Well, yeah,
it can. It's insane. Well, and I love that you're speaking of Benson. He's not speaking about his tool. He's like, that tool is you. And I think maybe one of the things that I would want to leave with people is how do you inspire the marketing professional out there that is using AI and they're trying to make it their own? What's your advice for just the Joe and Jane marketer out there to kind of dial in some of those things? Because guess what? You don't have access to that temperature setting. You don't have access to these things he's talking about, so just the Joe and Jane out there, what's your advice for them? Because they want to use this stuff. How can they make it more theirs?
So obviously I would please join Benson, of course, I would say that. But
he would say that. John
I would say that, of course. But if let's say that we, like every time I go to a podcast, I say, just look, we have a free thing. Go to freebuyerprofile.com. Okay. The reason why I'm saying freebuyerprofile.com is because this will tell you who your ideal buyer is and the language patterns they need to hear and that you should never use to communicate with them. And it's free. So it's like 15 page report that uses, but way more importantly than that, and this is what I want to really circle back to. Yeah. It's one thing to be able to speak their language. This is the part where people go, oh my gosh, I don't even know if I want to do that or not. And that's the part that where we go, oh, by the way, in order to do this, we need to know your core values. And we're going to ask you questions that are going to challenge you. We want to know who you really want to sell to. Because I believe that when you sell to the people you want to sell to based on the person you are. Now, yes, I'm talking to human beings, to business owners, to small business guys. I love the whole, this is not a B2B thing. As if there's no humans in the B2B side, right? Whoever the company has a heart, a soul, a spirit, whatever that is, has an ethic, has a gestalt, if you will. So you've got to know what that is. When that's communicated in words, people read it and go, oh, that's it. That's the company. That's the person I want to do business with. That's what you want.
This is driving me crazy because I was looking at the way people are using AI is they're massively interested in the inputs, but they're not really thinking about outputs. No, they're massively interested in output.
Right.
They're not thinking about inputs. Yeah. And what I'm just like, okay, think about that emotionally. I am so obsessed with the external world. I am deeply investigating all the problems of the world. And if you ask me one question about a dive into me, I spent all my time trying to figure out other people that I never thought for 1 second. One of the questions that I've been asking people recently is it important to develop an opinion about marketing that isn't number go up?
Oh, yeah. Yeah.
And of course the answer is yes, but why? Because if they're going to measure us by these numbers, why should I even have a take? I think that's what slows people down.
So look, we've rephrased this momentarily. Let me just give a little bit of repositioning to this. If you are in a position to where you can increase the number of sales for the number of clicks that you have to people that you can't wait to do business with, and you get 10 of those versus, let's go with 20. So you get double the amount and there's 5 of those kind of people in that group. There's 5 that are just kind of on the edge and they're not really committed. They're nice people, but they're just, they're kind of there and kind of not. There's 5 or 6 more that are generally assholes. They're just kind of like tire kickers and they're not really sure what they really want to do. And then there's just 4 guys that are just spammers. They're just wanting to buy to see what your funnel is like. Well, which would you take? And so many people, believe it or not, their first reaction is that they're going to take the 20, right? Because they might get a couple of more people out of that 20 than they would out of the 10. Here's my challenge to you. To get to those 12 out of those 10 is going to cost you hair. It's going to cost you wrinkles. It's going to cost you energy. It's going to cost you time. These things, now the hair and wrinkles are kind of funny, but because I got a lot of the hair.
It's true, kids.
The
It's
hair, I'm
true.
not doing. The hair is fine with me, but it definitely will cost you a lot of stress,
Yes,
and I just
definitely.
don't think you want that. So I would much
Mm.
rather have the 10 that just float in, and when they're like, oh my God, I have looked for you all my. I love what you're doing. Is there anything I can do to help your business grow? I give me 10 of those any day over 20 of the other, any freaking day of the week. So I want to talk to those people and only those people. And that's it. And so that's what we call ideal marketing. So ideal marketing is just marketing to your ideal buyers. So we help people do that. So Benson, ironically, is not so ironically, is it filters through. We have it's an optional thing. You don't have to do it. But if you do this and say, okay, I want to pay a little extra and have every piece of copy I write to filter through my ideal buyer profile. So it sounds like me. It sounds much more like it has the persuasive language in it, but it also has the words, phrases, and tone that these people that I really want to do business with will probably be more attracted to than people that wouldn't. And I even go a step further. I have started many sales letters with, look, hey, I started one just the other day. It's like, listen, if you own a business and you make more than 10 million a year, click off. This is not for you. I'm only talking to people
Love
that
that.
make between 1 million and 9 million a year. That's the only people that we want to do business with. And I'll tell you why in just a moment.
Specific stuff, specific
Yeah,
asks. I
yeah,
mean, most people would say, "That's too scary."
yeah.
We got to get as broad
Yeah.
as we can. Well,
Yeah.
so measuring this stuff as you're reaching out AI SDRs. This is big topic. Like people are just thinking they can automate this stuff.
Right.
Get back to that point though. How do people develop an opinion besides number go up? Like,
Yeah.
does that seem like something, and is that key? Because I think like
Yeah.
if you have something to say about any topic that is not related to directly converting, it behooves you to mention these things to get to the conversion. I think a lot of people are like, homie, I know you want to marry someone, but you have to take them out on a date.
Yeah.
And before that, you just got to make eye contact. Quit being so scary.
Yeah.
What's your thought about developing an opinion on marketing? Like, and sales too. I mean, salespeople,
Yeah.
I just got to book a fucking meeting, done.
Yeah. Yeah. I keep going back to this one metric for me. It's like, I want to know how many people are that are joining my inner circle that are the moment that I talk to them, they're like, they light up, they're excited to be there. And I'm making a difference. People are sending me emails saying, hey, you know what? I didn't know about I decided to take a chance on you cloned my more advanced AI course, and I just made $50,000, man. So my kid's going to go to college. So I'm like, to me, it's like, again, it's just a question of, do you want more of that? And I want way more of that. So I will take less of the just mass numbers and people just floating away and not doing anything, and take a smaller group of people that I feel tighter with. And again, everyone's different. I understand that there are some people that definitely want to market. We want to reach 1 billion people. Dude, I'm not your guy. I'm just not your guy. And I'm doing the very thing we're talking about right now. I'm doing the very thing we're talking about right now.
And they
I'm just
want
not
to
your
do
guy.
that. They want to do that with no money, John.
They want,
Okay.
So sometimes, yeah. And by the way, I'm not saying that people like that can't learn from what I have a master NLP guy. I'm a very, very good with persuasion and words. They can learn things. I'm not saying that, but as far as like really diving into our AI platform, I mean, I've had, I had a company, if I said their name, you would know exactly who they were, reach out and say, hey, we should talk about teaming up and doing this stuff. And I'm like, I don't think we're going to be a good fit, because the company you're talking about, like, number one, most of your customers are not in alignment with direct response. They're not in alignment with like more what I call passion marketing. It's not just direct response. There's a lot of heart. There's a lot of passion in the words. It's like when you read something, it feels like it just kicked you in the balls. And so you can't get that feeling if you're like, Acme Corporation has been around since 1984 and trusted by millions.
But here's what I'm saying is like, how do you get a ball kicking sentence? I mean, how do you you got to locate your balls? We're going off. I don't know. Did we lose half the audience? I think, but I do wonder, how do you feel those feelings?
Yeah. Yeah. Well, I mean, I don't expect people to be writers. I mean, now, so if we're talking about marketers right now and copywriters, I'll have that conversation gladly. Most people are not writers, and they're not going to be able to do that. Just like I wouldn't be able to do the things that they do. It's not a talent that they've either honed or have or naturally have or whatever. So
good caveat. Yeah.
Good thing that we have an AI that does that for you, but you have to be brave enough to do it, to go through the 10-minute of setup, to feel out to let people know who you are. It's like, who are you? What do you really want to say? What's the thing that's really there? And from there, it's a courage thing. It is like exactly what you said. I don't think people would say, I'll give you one even further. I just started a new YouTube channel. There's nothing there though. So this is not a promotional thing. My point is, the name of it is, it's called The New AI Entrepreneur. It's like super hyper specific. I mean, it's like, it's not just an entrepreneur, it's someone that just started, and it's specifically related around AI. So, I mean, that's it. So this is a super, super small niche of people, right? So, they're going to be able, I'm going to be able to completely relate to them. I understand them completely. I've already been there. I've already built multi-million-dollar companies using AI. So it's like,
and I've interviewed hundreds of founders, and every single one of them was trying to solve their own problem.
Yep.
Period. End of story. I don't think I've ever found anybody who was trying to probably solve a market problem, but they were experiencing it at a visceral level. And I love, maybe one of the pieces of advice is get your experience up of sales, of marketing, of clients, of customers. Yeah. And then that is something that you can use to generate an opinion about things. But I think a lot of people don't want to reach out. No one wants to talk on the phone. Everybody's really cagey. Text me, email me. I can make it look good if I do this. Yeah. How important is being raw in this moment?
To me?
No, I mean to everybody, because I'm feeling like, man, you said ball kicking sentences, bravery. There's some heat here that we're missing. Yeah. And so I'm wondering if that rawness, like what's your advice on people digging in there?
I'll tell you right now, and we're moving in right now coming into the middle of 2026, right? By the time we record this, you can come back and mark my words. But by this time in 2027, if you haven't burned the fucking ships, you're done. You better burn the ships. And if you don't know the reference, look up Cortez. Okay, so you got to burn the ships. It is no longer this little, tepid, I'm going to kind of tiptoe through the marketing world or through the business world or through whatever world you're in. If you're not willing to be fully authentically human and turn off people that you're okay to turn off and turn on people that you're okay to turn on and develop this human focused club. It's kind of funny coming from an AI guy, but if you read our pages, you'll see how human focused we are. Every single week we're a live human, doing the.
They're connected. These things are connected. AI is actually people, everybody. Yeah. Just so everybody knows.
If you're not doing it, you're dead. You're dead in the water. And it's like, people have no idea. I mean, I laugh. And it's a sad laughter because it's most people in this field. I've had the privilege of talking to a lot of the guys at the top levels of this, and some that are in the government, and so I get a lot of the information that I've been saying for years inside our. We have this all recorded, so there's no deception here. You can just go back and listen to me talking in 2019, 2020, and so I did a talk in 2021 or 2022, right? No, it was 2021. It was right after the whole COVID stuff, and this was with I was the only non-military guy except for one other person in the room.
Wild.
And I got invited because a friend of mine that was putting it on, he's works for science division of the military, and said this is all about AI and persuasion, and how do we use it to in different ways? And you're the master guy in persuasion. So, and you have an AI company, and there wasn't a lot of them, and so I invited out to speak and to meet these guys. And I'm dealing with I met the heads of the people looking to build general intelligence and super intelligence and warfare kind of stuff. And I got to talk to these guys, and this was like years and years ago. They're like, oh yeah, our concern is ASI and beating China to the punch and all that. We're not care less about chat. Everyone thinks that AI is like Chat GPT or whatever it is. It's not. It's we're dealing with the stuff that's really, really serious. Well, now every single human being is going to deal with that right now. And that's exactly what they were talking about doing and exactly what's happening. So we're dealing with this over the next year, whether we like it or not, and it's going to radically change our face of our business. So if you're not willing to step up as a business owner and say, okay, obviously embrace the technology where you can, but become completely raw and authentic, because that's what people are going to crave the most, as opposed to the non-authentic AI, which I don't like either. I'm going to own an AI company. I hate it myself. It's like,
I know.
You'll never make it. But it's going to be way worse than it's been, because I've been like the raw, authentic guy my entire career. So it's been easy for me to say this, but now it's way more important. I'm not saying you have to be crass or you have to be vulgar.
You have to put the word, SHIT in your book. There was a couple years where everybody put a curse word in their book, and you're like,
no, I swear
okay.
a lot. If you swear that, I just happen to swear. I'm like Eddie Izzard once said. It's like, if you have a command of the English language, you have permission to abuse it. I definitely lean more toward being I grew up in this sports and fighting and all that stuff. So not fighting on the streets, but martial arts. And so
street fighting. John was a street fighter. Yeah. We're gonna make so much good stories out of this.
Fortunately, only once. Thank God, man. That's awful. But
you can't copyright your way out of that.
Yeah, you can't. I talked my way out of a lot of them, though.
I'm telling you.
Well, a lot of them.
But I love this idea. Be raw. These sort of corporate safe boats got us here. But the communication style's got to be raw. You have to know what you think. You have to have some language. You have to know what the mirror is. You got to think about 11 p.m. when these people are going to bed or what they're fretting over. Maybe they're the same thing. And then also don't ignore your history. I think a lot of people are like, well, I'm just a marketer. I'm just here to sell things. And you're like, hold on. When you go to Target, do you look at all of these brand narratives? Do you look at all of the colors and logos? Or do you just look for the thing that you know and trust and have a relationship with? Your one piece of advice was to burn the boats. I mean, I don't know if I can get any better than that, but to end it, if you had some piece of advice for people who want to bring more persuasion to marketing performance, what's your just back of the napkin thought for these people?
This is one of the sayings that people quote back to me that I said in a course once, and it kind of stuck. It's like, you don't have to lie to write great copy, but you have to be brave enough to tell the truth. So that takes a lot of bravery, and that's filtered down through everything that I've ever written. When I was telling the story about Tony Robbins, talking about when your child is carrying your cup. These are things that I've said in letters to when I've said to people, I will walk people down I'll do some.
If you don't change this, that road
timeline
thing.
Therapy or timeline stuff with people and walking down, that whole NLP stuff, and saying, I just want you to walk 3 weeks with me today and 6 weeks for me today, so future pacing, etc. But in that future pacing stuff, when it's not the nice version of it, people will have read that and then say, oh my God, that's so manipulative. And I said, I want you to point out one word, let alone one sentence, one word that's inaccurate, that's wrong. So I'm not afraid of the truth. And I don't expect my readers or viewers or friends or fans or buyers or whatever you want to call them to be afraid of the truth either. If they're afraid of the truth, I don't want them. And see, we're right back to what we started from. I don't want them as customers. I don't. I want the customers that are like, hey, I want what's true. Even if it makes me uncomfortable, I'm okay with it. Because if it's real and it's true, I can grab onto it. And man, if you do that in 2026, 2027, you have much more of a chance of surviving it.
Man, I could keep going because I have a couple thoughts, but the reason why he's talking to owners, John, and he's not talking to y'all marketers, because he wants to get the real tea from the leaves that make it. So if you really want to be serious about this, follow John, check out all of his material, and we'll put links and all that fancy stuff. But if people want to connect with you online, how can they do that, John?
Yeah, so freebuyerprofile.com, that'll get you into it's a list, obviously, but we give you like this really cool stuff that'll help you with your marketing. And you can dump it into Chat or Claude if you really want to. And Benson.ai, Benson is BNSN.ai, which is my last name without the vowels.
He's a musician. He would do this.
Cool yeah,
that's what they do.
Yeah, a little bit of DNA humor there. So yeah, Benson, it's the DNA of copy. So that's how we started talking about this. So we couldn't steal the 4 letters of DNA, but so we just took my own. So there we go.
Cheese or chocolate?
Are you ready?
Sure.
Cheese or chocolate?
Cheese, probably.
Yeah. The health guy is saying cheese, people. Pay attention.
Yeah, the health guy is saying cheese. Yeah. What? Because you didn't ask me. You didn't put parameters on that. So, yeah.
I could have. I didn't.
Yeah.
I let your imagination run wild. Speak their language. Okay, here we go. Bon Jovi or Bon Iver?
So the last one again?
Bon Iver.
Oh gosh, definitely not Bon Jovi. So Bon Iver.
Hates Bon Jovi. We're breaking so many news stories here. Okay,
Dude,
Alice Cooper,
Rush and Aerosmith. So and the Ramones.
So I know. I'm trying out. I don't know. Okay, here we go.
Like Extremes, Radiohead.
No, stop. That we're not talking about classy music. Okay, here. Alice Cooper or Alice in Wonderland.
Oh, Alice Cooper.
Okay, fine. He likes it raw. He likes the hard rock stuff, guys. Okay, waffles or pancakes?
Waffles.
No question. You just don't even.
Well, I eat protein pancakes every morning, so I'm probably just kind of craving something
like
different.
Over it. Yeah. Thanks. No, I don't need that protein pancake. All right. Meatloaf the dish or Meatloaf the man?
Definitely Meatloaf the dish. Yeah. Now,
again,
like I'm thinking as a musician, not my favorite musician. As an actor, he was great. So
that's good.
Yeah.
Shockingly good.
Shockingly good. Fantastic in Fight Club. I mean, just loved him in Fight Club.
So funny, so aware. What an amazing talk about writing.
Supposedly a really nice guy too. So I don't know anything other more.
Okay, but you prefer Meatloaf the dish?
Oh, because it reminds me of my mom. I don't eat it, but it's like they used to fix it all the time.
I don't want it, but I'm glad it's there.
Yeah.
Sort of like Meatloaf the man.
Yeah. Exactly.
Okay, and finally, most contentiously, Grease the movie or Grease the country?
Oh, that one's too easy. I was a philosophy major. Grease the country. Yeah.
So you don't want to belong,
man.
You don't want to belong together. You don't like John Travolta. You don't like Olivia Newton-John.
I hate that movie. But other than hating that
Frankie
movie,
Valli,
and hating musicals in general.
Oh my God. Well, here we go.